The imperialism is wrong. But imperialism is a bad student. It's a bad student. When it's defeated, when it's expelled from the class, it comes back again. It's a bad student. It has never learned the lesson from its failure.
Greetings, families. Welcome back once again. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This video is about our late Captain Thomas Sankara. When I shared the stadium news, I said there was a more to it and I work on it. This is it, the history about President Captain Thomas Sankara. A lot of people have been saying it's Captain Thomas Sankara, it's Captain Ibrahim Traore. Yes, you are right. I didn't know a lot because I was young, plus the French and English, it doesn't go together. So I'm now learning more from these three countries and other ones that speak French. Families, you'll be surprised. They're like twins in everything. It's like Captain Thomas Sankara has written everything down for Captain Ibrahim Traore to continue. God is wonderful. Yes, imperialism is bad student and they keep repeating themselves. I will not waste your time. Please listen and I'll be back.
Now this segment is dedicated to the August 1983 revolution. We remember August 4th, 1983. It was on this date that a group of young soldiers overthrew the Council of Salvation for the People, led by Dr. and Commander Jean-Baptiste Ouedraogo, and established the National Council of the Revolution, headed by Captain Thomas Sankara. After becoming president, he undertook several reforms that would profoundly change the lives of the Burkinabe people. He was assassinated on October 15, 1987, bringing an end to 4 years of transformation in Burkinabe society. A historical look back at August 4, 1983 with Siko Zongo.
August 4 might not have become a historic date for Burkina Faso if Captain Thomas Sankara had not been arrested on May 17, 1983 by the men of President Dr. Commander Jean-Baptiste Ouedraogo and Colonel Urien Gabriel Sommet. Placed under arrest while he was Prime Minister of the Council of People's Salvation, Thomas Isidore Noel Sankara, from his house arrest, would hasten the end of a regime considered too moribund. After the arrest of Captain Sankara, one of the 4 officers already known to the national public, namely Captain Blaise Compaoré, manages to escape and goes underground near the National Commando Training Center in Pau. From there, he organizes the resistance with popular support in several cities of Upper Volta. The confrontation is imminent. On August 4, 1983, Blaise Compaoré's troops march on Ouagadougou. The Jean-Baptiste Ouedraogo faction is defeated and the president is placed under arrest. In the evening, Captain Thomas Sankara announces that power has been taken by the CNR, the National Council of the Revolution. This marks the beginning of the democratic and popular revolution under the leadership of Captain Thomas Isidore Noel Sankara. From that moment on, things began to move quickly. On October 2, 1983, the president of the CNR delivers the political orientation speech, The Guide for the Revolution. On the first anniversary of the RDP, the country sheds its colonial mantle and becomes Burkina Faso, the land of upright people, with the motto, Fatherland or death, we shall overcome. The revolution directly confronts imperialism and its local lackeys.
Comrades, we must stand united. Down with imperialism, down with neocolonialism, and absolutely down with the owls with their slimy, insidious gaze, for they represent a true threat.
The charismatic leader of the revolution spreads ideas of independence and sovereignty.
You see, imperialism is wrong. But imperialism is a bad student. It's a bad student. When it is beaten, when it is expelled from the classroom, it comes back again. It's a bad student. It has never learned the lesson from its failure. Please, we must block the path of this imperialism.
The establishment of the CDRs, the Committees for the Defense of the Revolution, the creation of the People's Revolutionary Courts, the operationalization of the rail battle, the promotion of local consumption, the mass vaccination campaign, the reform of the administration, and agrarian reform are among the actions carried out during the Revolution of '83, which lasted only 4 years. On October 15, 1987, a heavily armed commando coldly executed the father of the Burkinabe Revolution along with 12 of his companions at the Conseil de l'Entente. It marked the end of a period that transformed both Burkinabe and African mindsets. Thomas Sankara was indeed assassinated, but he remains more present than ever in the collective memory.
And this message from the President of Faso before continuing, on the 42nd anniversary of the advent of the Democratic and Popular Revolution, Captain Ibrahim Traore calls for commitment and determination. This Monday, August 4, 2025, on his X account, Captain Ibrahim Traore, President of Faso and Head of State, published a message, the content of which is as follows. Today, August 4th, our country remembers the Democratic and Popular Revolution, RDP, led by Captain Thomas Sankara. This revolution, driven by a refusal to accept fate and a reaffirmation of the people's will to build a proud, free, and sovereign nation, is today restored in its vision through the Progressive Popular Revolution, RPP. Based on the people's intrinsic ability to drive endogenous and inclusive development of our nation, the RPP is the key to the full flourishing of the Burkinabe people. Committed and determined, like our valiant predecessors, we will defeat imperialism so that Burkina Faso may prosper. The homeland or death we shall overcome. As Sekou Zongo mentioned earlier, August 4, 1983 marks the advent of the Democratic and Popular Revolution. Led by Captain Thomas Sankara at the head of young officers, together they overthrew President Jean-Baptiste Ouédraogo. The operation was carried out in a coordinated manner between civilians and the military. A series of events took place, including the arrest of Captain Thomas Sankara. Let's look back at how the seizure of power was organized with Moussa Ouédraogo, Daouda Ouattara, and others. Hostilities for the takeover began on March 26, 1983 in Ouagadougou, and on May 15th of the same year in Bobo Dioulasso through rallies denouncing the regime at the time. These were pro-progressive rallies in support of Captain Thomas Sankara, who was Prime Minister at the time. He was arrested on May 17, 1983.
After May 17, there was popular pressure. On May 20th, 21st, and 22nd, young people marched and protested. Within the army, there was discontent.
The pressure exerted by the popular masses and the progressive wing of the army forced Jean-Baptiste Ouédraogo's regime to release Captain Thomas Sankara, but he was kept under house arrest. His unexpected arrest ultimately proved to be the final straw. Consequently, a meticulously planned scheme to seize political power.
And our commanding officer at the time, Captain Blaise Compaoré, with Lieutenant Gilbert Gémiret as his deputy at that time. And so, together with their dedicated comrades in Ouaga, most notably Captain Thomas Sankara, Captain Harry Zongo, and Commander Lingani, they meticulously consulted with each other to try to actively gain more supporters for their cause. And indeed, the work was exceptionally well done and highly successful. Not only did a great many people enthusiastically take our side and join our movement.
Notably, the elite units, even the most formidable ones, were won over to the cause.
In certain specific units, like the formidable armored group, which was truly the most powerful and intimidating unit that everyone genuinely feared throughout the entire conflict. So it was also necessary to infiltrate them. And that's precisely how we successfully managed to establish contact with a few, the various elements operating under the command of Captain Kambule, who was at that particular time commanding the armored group. The first camp, which is the artillery group, was the artillery group based on the road to Pau. So, with its very first and initial leader as well, he took part, at least for us, he unequivocally took our side. If we hadn't really managed to successfully get them firmly on our side, sending a crucial message would have indeed been a significant problem.
The plan is thus put in place. Now remains the moment to take action. Thomas Sankara, from his residence, was monitoring and coordinating the operations. The operative must come from Pau, not without difficulty.
We found ourselves in a challenging situation because we didn't possess any vehicles at all, nor any conventional means of transportation readily available to us. In this critical predicament, Captain Blaise, demonstrating remarkable resourcefulness and quick thinking, conceived the brilliant idea to actually utilize the robust dump trucks belonging to a Canadian company that was coincidentally present in the area, primarily engaged in significant street construction and infrastructure work.
With the company's vehicles recovered, it was necessary to sound the assembly, but also to determine the targets to be taken and the division of tasks once in Ouagadougou. And these targets are
namely the armored group, the presidential palace, the presidency, the gendarmerie, and the radio station. That's it.
On August 4th, 1983, the unit set out for the capital. Once in Ouagadougou, the unit was divided into several groups to take over the different targets. And our young sergeant at the time and his men took control of the Gunghin armored group.
I was in charge, along with my men and a certain number of anti-aircraft guns, because we had received some anti-aircraft guns as well as other weapons. That, it must be said, came from Ghana. We had prepared ourselves well for this, and we also had complete mastery of these weapons. And so, on the Gunghin side, which was the hot spot, we needed a lot more troops. And I, as a sergeant, was the one who led the attack on the Gunghin side, the armored group.
As for the Air Force at the old air base then, I was assigned, along with comrades like the lad George Namwanu, Bikabadini, and some other comrades. We were specifically tasked with taking control of the air base, as well as the adjacent airport, in order to effectively prevent any possible attempts at resistance to the impending seizure of power. Additionally, it was crucial to prevent any unauthorized landings at the airport itself.
Like his group, the others take up positions at the various hotspots and wait for the green light. At 8 p.m., the green light is given for the assault and all sensitive points are under control.
We departed from Pola to ensure that the coup was indeed successful and that they would genuinely take the lead this time around. For us, it was nothing else. It wasn't for anyone else. We were standing, we were really fired up, we were pumped up, and in that, there were also some supporters waiting for us on the ground, notably Commander Lingani and Captain Harry Zongo. Sige was there as well. And that's it. So, in any case, everyone contributed in their own way to the success of this event.
Many comrades were working, and so were the civilians. The civilians were working, some joined POW, to prepare for the revolution, to fight. Others were there and played their part by cutting the electricity and so on, by guiding the commandos who were going to arrive at strategic positions. The civilians played a very important role. That's why we refuse to call it a military coup. The civilians played a very important role.
The events of August 4th are the result of a coordinated effort between the military and civilians. Thus, after taking power, Captain Thomas Sankara focused on securing the institutions and raising public awareness. We must further promote the ideals of the DCR, the Democratic and Popular Revolution, and defend them everywhere, at all times and in all places, through the establishment of the CDRs, the Committees for the Defense of the Revolution.
The national flag and ensign of Burkina Faso is the flag of Burkina Faso.
Article 5. The flag of Burkina Faso consists of two horizontal bands of equal size. The upper band is red and the lower band is green. The center of the line separating the two bands is marked with a golden five-pointed star.
These colors symbolize the break with the colonial past and unity with other former African colonies. The red symbolizes the revolution, while the green represents the abundance of agricultural and natural resources. The yellow color refers to the mineral wealth of Burkina Faso. In addition to this meaning, at the time the flag was created, the star was the symbol of the new leadership based on revolutionary principles. All these symbols reflect the identity and values of the Burkinabe people.
The anthem is Litanis. The motto is Homeland or Death we shall overcome.
Litanies, or the Hymn of Victory, replaced La Fière Volta as the national anthem of Burkina Faso. Homeland or Death we shall overcome is the new motto, replacing Unity, Work, Justice. As for the coat of arms, it contains two stallions symbolizing the nobility and strength of the people, a shield representing patriotism, and spears symbolizing the determination to protect the nation.
Thank you so much for listening, families. I'm sure you are enjoying this video. Don't go yet. We haven't finished. I've learned that the vaccination that Captain Ibrahim Traore is doing recently in millions, cows, the animals, the dogs, and human beings. That's something Captain Thomas Sankara has done before, and he is doing the same thing. The education, you can tell he's doing the same thing, or if you haven't seen that part yet, it is the same thing. This part is when he has empowered the women and said, no, women are not dormant. He didn't put it that way. But women are supposed to be respected. They are our equal. Their payment must be equal as us. They must work together with us. They are not different from us, and many more. I said, what? That's why Captain Ibrahim has been calling the women. Families, please listen.
The revolution led by Captain Thomas Sankara was structured around several key areas. Major areas included education, marked by the mass enrollment of children in school, literacy campaigns, and the construction of schools throughout Burkina. The Democratic and Popular Revolution also set itself the mission of significantly improving the health of the population. And one of the most impactful actions remains the Commando vaccination campaign, which made it possible to vaccinate more than 2 million children against measles, meningitis, and yellow fever. We discussed this with Cyprian Naniman, a former member of the Committees for the Defense of the Revolution. The report by Manikahen is here in Canada.
A people that does not educate itself is a people that is committing suicide. This quote from Captain Thomas Noel Isidore Sankara alone sums up the entire vision of the father of the Burkinabe Revolution when it comes to education. The day after he came to power, on August 4, 1983, he made education an absolute priority in his program for social transformation. A vision and determination that took shape on the ground through several actions, notably the mass enrollment of children in school and the construction of thousands of schools throughout the country.
He started with the Instruisons nos enfants lottery, which was a lottery intended to help build schools and enroll many of our children in school. He organized an important assembly in Gawa where he made a significant statement that became widely known as the Gawa Appeal. This was directly related to education, so that after a thorough review, we could effectively ensure quality teaching in Burkina Faso. He successfully launched the significant Popular Development Program, which in the year 1985 notably led to the extensive construction of numerous well-equipped 3-classroom schools across the region. Then he launched the 5-year Popular Development Plan, which from 1986 to 1990 was supposed to build a significant number of schools, junior high schools, and certainly expand the universities in Burkina Faso.
Captain Thomas Sankara therefore remains convinced. One of the main duties facing the Burkinabe people in the process of the democratic and popular revolution is to design a new kind of school, one that meets the aspirations of present and future generations. For the Captain President, education remains a fundamental right, and no Burkinabe should be left behind.
President Thomas Sankara introduced education in the national languages Diaoula, Mure, and Fulfulde, as well as the Bantali operation, which consisted of organizing literacy sessions in national languages. All of this was to boost the literacy rate in Burkina Faso. And he instituted school uniforms. This too was to ensure that children from poor families would not feel uncomfortable, and as a direct and significant result, the overall literacy rate experienced a notable increase, climbing from approximately 15 or 16% to a much higher 28%.
For the father of the revolution of August 83, there can be no development without a population in perfect health. And one of the first major actions undertaken by the National Council of the Revolution in the health sector was the Commando vaccination operation. This unprecedented operation took place in November 1984, 1 year after the launch of the Democratic and Popular Revolution, and the results speak for themselves. Several million children were vaccinated against measles, meningitis, and yellow fever at a low cost, making Captain Thomas Sankara a true champion of vaccination.
This commando vaccination campaign was so successful that the World Health Organization congratulated Burkina Faso. And to truly ensure a health policy that is genuinely close to the people, the significant operation One Village, One Primary Health Post, PSP, was officially launched. So, dedicated health workers and skilled midwives were thoroughly trained in every single village, with the overarching goal of effectively bringing essential healthcare services much closer to all the people. right within their own communities. There was also the construction of CSPS centers, the rehabilitation of hospitals, and the promotion of building pharmaceutical depots. But in 1987, there was also the promotion of traditional healers and traditional medicine.
Sports, a true driver of health and for a sound mind in a sound body, were also introduced as mass sports every Thursday. In addition to this, several strong measures were also implemented to keep Burkinabe citizens in good health. Captain Thomas Sankara remains a true pioneer of free and preventive public health, Cyprian Anema is convinced. In the fields of agriculture and the environment, the August 1983 revolution also had an impact. Several innovations were introduced there with the main goal of achieving food self-sufficiency. Additionally, efforts were made to combat bushfires, wandering livestock, and the excessive cutting of wood. The revolution in agriculture and the environment with Karim Bitenga.
This edge in the commune of Bagley covers about 30 hectares. 30 hectares roughly developed for production. These basic developments are part of the implementation of the Progressive Popular Revolution, a policy reminiscent of the agro-pastoral approach of the August 1983 revolution. When the National Council of the Revolution was established, rural areas were at the heart of its actions. For the father of the DPP, the Democratic and Popular Revolution, the peasantry in the context of the 1980s was a dead weight on the sidelines of revolutionary transformations. The CNR took strong action to revolutionize the sector with 3 levels of objectives: ensuring food security, achieving food self-sufficiency, and finally, establishing food power. This involved the production of organic fertilizers, the manufacture of plows, the establishment of small processing industries, and the development of arable land around large water reservoirs, such as the Solu Dam and the Kompienga Dam. The Ordinance of August 4, 1984, concerning agrarian and land reform, was enacted as part of this process. The result, the land is nationalized and now belongs to the state. Agriculture is also diversified with the creation of the CRPAs, the Regional Centers for Agro-Pastoral Production. The revolution in the agricultural sector goes hand in hand with environmental protection, which is addressed through 3 main efforts: the fight against bushfires, the fight against wandering livestock, and the fight against the uncontrolled cutting of firewood. A 3-pronged fight in the name of the environment, which both in the past and today calls for the commitment of every citizen.
In the fields of culture and sports, the impact of Thomas Sankara and his comrades is significant. They initiated a new dynamic of restructuring and recommendations through the construction of infrastructure for the development of culture and sports. The main points of the commitments with Beniwendi Frederick.
1983. A new era is dawning in the Republic of Upper Volta. It is led by the National Council of the Revolution under the leadership of Captain Thomas Sankara. It is therefore time to break away from the neo-colonial system. To achieve this, Sankara places culture and sport at the heart of this revolution as major levers for liberation, affirmation, and cultural identity. Within the executive branch, a new department is created. This is the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, with the mandate to promote national languages, arts, traditions, and indigenous values. And that's not all. The department is also tasked with combating the dominance of foreign cultures and ensuring the development of cultural and sports infrastructure throughout the country. Thus, in the field of culture, the SNC, the National Culture Week, was established as early as 1983. It was established to showcase the country's cultural diversity through the arts, gastronomy, dance, and traditional music. In the same year, the state launched the construction of the Desiree Bonogo Popular Theatre, an ambitious project to build an open-air cultural venue with a seating capacity of 1,600. The commitment to values and the promotion of local languages led Captain Thomas Sankara in 1984 to rename Upper Volta as Burkina Faso, which means the land of upright people in the local language. The production and dissemination of indigenous cultural works are encouraged, especially with the concept "Let's produce and consume Burkinabe." FESPACO, for its part, experienced a new boom with the direct involvement of the authorities in transforming it into a major Pan-African event. As for sports, the construction and renovation of sports facilities have now become key priorities for development. The ambition expressed by the National Council of the Revolution is to provide every village with a playing field and every regional capital with a stadium. The August 4th Stadium is one of the most illustrative examples of this. Convinced that sport is the driving force behind personal development and social cohesion, the revolutionary government truly encourages its practice. And Sankara, as a true leader, leads by example on the field himself. Institutionalized in all public services, sport becomes part of the daily life of civil servants. The committees for the defense of the revolution are responsible for organizing and raising awareness about the practice of cultural and sports activities. In neighborhoods, villages, cities, and everywhere else, everyone is invited to participate because, according to Captain Thomas Sankara, a people who do not practice sports is a sick people.
Women were not left out of this revolution led by Captain Thomas Sankara. Important decisions in favor of women. We note their empowerment through positions in public administration, the fight against female genital mutilation, women's literacy, and their role in politics. We see this with Amandine Lalsaga.
The Voltaic woman, her role in the democratic and popular revolution.
It is October 2nd, 1983. In his political orientation speech, Captain Thomas Sankara states that the Burkinabe revolution cannot succeed without the total liberation of women.
Revolution and the liberation of women go hand in hand. And speaking of women's emancipation is not an act of charity or a surge of humanism. It is a fundamental necessity for the triumph of the revolution.
Convinced that this requires women's fulfillment and financial empowerment, he publicly condemns female genital mutilation, prostitution, early and forced marriages, and enacts laws to prohibit them. Captain Thomas Sankara, a fervent defender of women's rights, then denounces the practice of the bride price, which he considers a disguised act of buying women, and encourages young people to unite without financial transactions that enslave women.
We must give every single woman a job, a meaningful one. We must give every woman the means to earn an honest and dignified living, so that there will never again be any confusion between love and commerce.
Under the National Council of the Revolution, CNR, a structure for the promotion of women was created, called the Union of Women of Burkina, UFB, tasked with mobilizing and organizing women in the revolutionary process.
They make up more than half of the population. And since the National Council of the Revolution does not exclude us at this level, it is up to women to fight and undergo military training, to accept that even in this area, they can succeed.
March 8th, National Women's Day, is established as a public holiday and dedicated to events highlighting women's struggles. This day is also an opportunity to challenge the traditional roles imposed on women. From the revolution, CDRs are created within which women are systematically included. The revolution establishes equal pay between men and women in the public sector and promotes the hiring of women in fields that were previously reserved for men. Furthermore, a living wage is instituted, and 0.5% of male civil servants' salaries is deducted and set aside for their wives. The CNR leads by example and promotes women in public and political positions. Some of them are appointed to positions of responsibility in the administration, the military, production structures, and even within the government. There were 3 women in Captain Thomas Sankara's first government in 83, including one in the Ministry of Budget. In 86, the number of women in the government increased to 5. Policies are launched to encourage girls' education through popular campaigns, highlighting the importance of female education in national development. The very first Women's Motorcyclist Crusade was organized on April 10, 1986, much to the satisfaction of women.
It's part of women's emancipation. So we too are going to prove that we can do something, that we can also put in physical effort just like men.
The revolution goes even further. Traditional chores reserved for women, sweeping, communal cooking, cleaning public spaces, are made mandatory for everyone, including men, to symbolize true equality in revolutionary society. Many other decisions were made in favor of women under the National Council of the Revolution, CNR, led by Captain Thomas Sankara between 1983 and 1987, to achieve full and complete recognition of women's rights.
Thomas Sankara.
Thank you so much, families, for listening and watching. A lot of countries, women have been put at the back seat and they can't speak unless the men finish speaking. They are holding their backs at the back. And for him, during that time, when I was school, he was fighting for us. Yes, this is why him and J.J. Rollins were best friends. And this is why Captain Ibrahim Traore has named a street after J.J. Rollins, our late president, Ghana late president. It's all making sense in this news. And I'm so grateful for you, my families, to be supporting me, to be learning a lot about these countries. I think I'm taking it far. Please listen and I'll be back.
Thomas Sankara, a name that still echoes in people's memories. A source of pride for some, a symbol of integrity for others, the legacy of Captain Thomas Sankara remains alive. After 4 decades, the achievements and values he brought to Bobo Dioulasso remain etched in the collective consciousness. Report by Asangurabu Salamdaba.
38 years after his death, the legacy of the father of the Burkina Faso revolution, Captain Nouvel Isidore Thomas Sankara, is still engraved in the memory of the people of Bobo, a revolutionary period rich in lessons that marked an entire generation.
He gave us history and the pride of being Burkina Faso. At that time, he was ahead of another generation. He was ahead of his time. I am proud to be Burkina Faso.
I would say that I have a rather positive perception of his legacy, in the sense that this legacy, despite the past, despite what we know happened to him, this legacy is not lost. It is a legacy that continues. Tree planting, the fight against desertification, community service projects that have now evolved into what we call Faso Mebo. Today, that integrity is resurfacing. And I think he gave us the pride in who we are.
From the legacy of that revolutionary era, there are many development initiatives and achievements that are still visible today.
What I vividly remember about Thomas Sankara is his profound focus on education, public health initiatives, and especially the significant advancements in agriculture, as well as his support for cinema. He built many schools.
And every year there was also a day dedicated to cleanliness, and the entire population was mobilized to clean the city's main streets. Truly, there are many things to remember.
Think, for example, of the various popular theaters that were initiated and the housing projects, phase 1, phase 2, and so on. Those are things, the tree plantations, there are groves that still exist, and that endures. So I tell myself that he is still alive through certain achievements that still exist in Burkina Faso.
The ideals and works now carried forward by Captain Ibrahim Traore through the progressive popular revolution, a revolution that the youth of Burkina Faso are called upon to support.
At one point, we were fortunate enough to have someone with a clear vision for the development and future of this country. Today, we are once again fortunate to have someone moving in that direction. So the younger generation must get involved.
He is retracing the steps of Captain Thomas Sankara, and I truly believe that together we must actively support him in his endeavors so that we can effectively achieve our collective development goals.
These are achievements that the people of Burkina Faso must work to preserve and strengthen through the various presidential initiatives implemented by the President of Faso.
Thank you, because I have learned a lot and I can't believe it. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that my families, you have given to me, to be getting up, to be doing what I'm doing, to be putting this there for our, not only in future children, for us and our future children who will come one day to be listening to all these histories years ago, 40-something years ago, up to now. And what Captain Ibrahim Traore, by the grace of God, and his brothers, General Assimi Goita, General Abdourahmane Tiani, will also be doing added to this documentary for them. I didn't have that opportunity, so I'm so grateful. You can tell the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm here just at the AES. I do not want to go any further because the rest, they are English-speaking countries. You understand them. I will not waste your time unless something concerning AES before I'll come here to react on it. Apart from that, I don't want to waste your time. This is documentary for our future children. They will not be like me. They will learn something now. And for that, I'm grateful for the opportunity that you have given me. I'm very satisfied. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Thank you. God bless you all. God bless you. My VIPs, my kings and queens, my returning families, thank you so much for what you are doing. I can't thank you enough. And if you are new here, my name is Mamre. What I do here, I work on the videos from the AES original channels and work on them, translate them, and share it with those of us who love and support what they are doing, so we will know what is going on. Because I first struggled to find real news about what is going on, narrative, and whatever it doesn't make sense to me, I used to react on them, not knowing they are all, many of them are lies. It's makeup. Before I started doing this, it's not easy, but I love what I'm doing. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. I will see you soon. I will not waste your time anymore. If you have learned something, please kindly let me know under the comment section. Like it and share it. Share it as many as possible. Our children especially. Let them learn something. They shouldn't be like me who didn't. Thank you for doing that. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Spread ideas of independence and sovereignty.
You see, imperialism is wrong. But imperialism is a bad student. It's a bad student. When it's defeated, when it's expelled from the class, it comes back again. It's a bad student. It has never learned the lesson from its failure. For heaven's sake, we must block the path of this imperialism.
The